Together we'll see who dies and survives, circled around a sacred fire, strumming along with our favorite lyre. Adventure called the quest awaits, your destiny's in the hands of the fates. But never fear, we're all friends here, we'll have your back when danger's near. Come with us through the pages as we unravel a tale for the ages into the Percy-Verse.
Hello and welcome to the Percy-Verse podcast. I'm Alisa.
And I'm Anna. Get ready for snow-covered strawberry fields and dangerous conversations, because today we're reading The Titan's Curse, Chapter 5, I Place an Underwater Phone Call. In this chapter, Percy almost gets blown up by a god, again. Percy almost gets his head bitten off by Talia, again. And Percy has a terrible, frightening nightmare about a kidnapped friend in danger. Say it with me. Again. It's like we've been here before.
Yeah, and it really makes you realize just how much Percy goes through it in this chapter.
For real. This is kind of like Percy is the ball in a pinball machine, and he's just getting sort of shot around at all these different locations and people that are not great for him.
No, definitely not.
So we start the chapter in Camp Half-Blood in winter. So for a chapter where Percy is the pinball in the pinball machine, the setting is glorious.
Yes.
For anyone who loves winter and like holiday time, it is kind of a vibe. So we have Camp Half-Blood in winter, and we learned that they even let snow in as weather in winter, which is not normally a thing.
Yes, and I wanted to say, I don't know if you Googled this, but I was curious. I was like, the Greeks would not have celebrated Christmas, because there's like mention of Christmas lights.
Love that you Googled this.
So I was like, what did the Greeks celebrate? So, citing my sources, this is from an article on JSTOR Daily called Celebrating Solstice the Ancient Greek Way, written by James McDonald from December 2016. And
this is not a 5-minute Google. I just want to take a moment of appreciation. Normally, your source is a 5-minute Google. This is a citing a source, like a...
Well, it was one of the first, when I Googled this, it was one of the first, in those first few links that Google will give you when you ignore the annoying AI summary.
Yes.
This actually was one of the first, and it links to other, like, academic
and it's good
articles.
Because, like, I was reading about, a Google now is, like, an AI summary. It's not, like, a Google isn't a Google anymore, and so going into those first few links is the best way to find out information now.
Yes, it is. But basically, the very, very fun fact that I learned, according to this article, is that, guess who the god of the winter festival was?
I don't know.
Poseidon.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
so
that's
apparently,
interesting.
yes, the Feast of Poseidon was this, like, epic thing that was a festival that was like an all-out, kind of described as like no holds barred debauchery.
Wow. For like winter solstice?
Yes, for winter
solstice.
And there's
how appropriate.
Yeah, there's a name, there were a couple different names for it, but the one in this article was, and I'm not going to pronounce it right, it's spelled Haloea.
Haloea. Okay. Well, what's interesting about that is like Hallow is more like a Halloween thing that we think of.
Right.
Like
Yeah, depending on like how...
I don't know how it's pronounced.
Yes. But anyways, I just thought it was so fun.
That's so
that,
cool.
Like, Poseidon is like who's celebrated in the wintertime for the winter solstice. So
thank you for your research.
My fun little fact.
I'm super into it. I love a fun fact. Yes, so we are not in a no holds barred debaucherous celebration moment here, but we are in winter time, which is nice, and we do have snow on the strawberry fields, which is just like a lovely picture to imagine. And also they have these special orbs that are actually like fireballs that are glowing everywhere. And for those of you who don't know, I am obsessed with twinkle lights. I have so many twinkle lights, and a room is not done until there are twinkle lights in it. And so having all of these like glowy orbs all around Camp Half-Blood is just very much my vibe. Very into it. And Nico is amazed at all of the things as they're going in with Percy, including the lava climbing wall, which is in particular very cool, which is very on brand for Nico in this moment. Yeah. The hunters just go to cabin 8. They're like, tell Chiron we're going. They're just still kind of like haughty.
Yes.
And Grover, of course, goes with them, and we're going to enter a low-key problematic dynamic with Grover and the hunters even more so than we've been in. Bianca tells something to Nico that makes him grumpy for a while, which is like a thing we don't get to hear. But just like continuing their kind of tense, tricky dynamics, and she's joined the hunters. Apollo calls the hunters sweethearts again.
After being explicitly told by Artemis to not to call them,
and he's
that.
clearly doing it because of that. Like, he's clearly doing it because it bothers them. It's still a problematic thing, but he's just being kind of a mess. And he also tells Percy, watch out for those prophecies. And I think what's interesting about that is we do know that Percy will be involved in more than one prophecy. So, like, I get tired on behalf of Percy in this moment for just what he has to go through. Yes. For like the next few years.
I know. He really, his journey into demigoddom is like, he gets hurled at 100 miles per hour, like straight out the gate. And he doesn't really get a break
stops
for a long time.
Just like such a long time. Just such a long time. It's rough. And so there are a couple, at least, prophecies, and and they're gonna be impacting Percy's life to a great extent, and it is a lot.
Yes. I did want to just like highlight that I loved as he's like taking in camp in like the winter splendor, is he like has the moment where he wonders if the spirit of Delphi was like roasting marshmallows or something like in the attic. So I kind of like, because
the light's on,
right? And it's fun because it's, you know, in the first book he was so terrified of that experience, but I do kind of like that he's thinking about it, and there's a little bit of maybe like fondness or like a joke of some kind, especially because like the Rachel Elizabeth there of it all in the next book, and like you know, the connection that he will then have with the Oracle.
Incoming theory, as you're saying that. Do you think that the light is on because Apollo is there?
Oh,
like, does Apollo visiting camp kind of trigger something in the Oracle?
Oh, that's fun. I think like
that'd be interesting.
I like that. Yeah.
Just thought.
Yeah, I like that.
Just a little thought, food for thought. Yes. So I agree. It's nice that Percy, I don't know, either his brain has erased sort of the trauma of the moment, or he's just kind of come to terms with it, which is nice. And we learned last book that like Percy would much rather be on a quest than not be on a quest. So if the Oracle is how you get to do the thing Percy likes to do, then, you know, she's not so bad in that sense.
Yeah.
But then Apollo tells Talia to be good and smiles like he knows something that she doesn't. So he's got something vague to drop for each of them, which is just, as a child of the big three, exactly what you want to hear from the prophecy god. Is just sort of vague vibes about your future.
Right.
And then he promptly leaves in his Maserati. So he definitely switches back to his favorite car mode. And I don't know, who wouldn't want to be able to just switch whatever car you drive the sun across the sky? And that's kind of a vibe. But then we get this funny moment where Nico is actually kind of excited to meet Chiron, but more specifically because he doesn't actually know who Chiron is yet. He'll be way more excited when he does know the truth about Chiron. Mostly just because the hunters seem to not like Chiron. He's like, I will meet anyone they don't like. Stat. Let's go.
Yes, he is. It's, you know, he hasn't fully lost the magic, but we're starting to see the resting of the magic and the wonderment. I think as it continues to set in further for Nico what Bianca's choice means for the change in their relationship. Like the fact that she is going off with the hunters separate from him. We'll see that again later on with the dinner, you know, like I think all of that is really starting to sink in a way that's very understandably making Nico unhappy.
Yeah, they were tight. He's really young. They were tight. She was this parent/sibling figure for him. And now you know, they're very, very suddenly and without a lot of transition being separated constantly. I actually think it's really good that the hunters are at camp, because I think it would have been even worse if, like, they were off doing stuff and Nico was at camp just, like, completely pulled away from her. But it's still really hard for him, and that's understandable. We do learn that camp is really empty right now. We do hear that Charles Beckendorf and Travis and Connor Stoll are there. Yes, we love. But, you know, Percy hasn't gotten to see camp in this, like, non-summer state. Yeah. Where it's, like, quite empty from campers. And then we don't know yet in the chapter, but we know that Clarice isn't there. And we get to learn a little bit more of why later. But as we head to the big house, it is decorated in red and yellow fireballs, and it smells like hot chocolate.
Amazing.
And again, vibes. I mean, Mr. D absolutely ruining the vibes always, but, like, otherwise, I want to sit on that porch so bad. That sounds so nice.
If you had to pick between, if you got to visit Camp Half-Blood and you had to pick between visiting in the summer or visiting in the winter, which would you pick?
It's hard because I do love a winter vibe, but I don't think there's any way for me to not pick summer. Like, I don't think there's any way for me to not just, like, be there when all the campers are doing all their camper stuff and be a part of that. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah, I think I feel similarly, that it's like, you know, of course it's got to be summer, but this chapter makes winter so enticing. Like, it so unbelievably enticing. And
I feel like if you're an introvert who really wants to hang out at camp but, like, not be overstimulated, winter's the time. Like, go in winter.
Yeah, which is, like, that is kind of me.
No, I know. That's why it's okay to pick that.
Yeah. But I do think I would want to, if I could only experience camp once, I think I'd have to go with the summer just for the actual, like, pure camp experience.
For sure. I get that. Listeners will maybe have learned at this point that Alisa and I often land on, like, opposite ends of any spectrum, and we actually are, like, astrologically opposite, being Aries and Libra. So it's kind of fun that oftentimes we'll land on something and be like, well, I think the exact opposite.
Yep.
And that's cool. But on the big house, on the porch, Mr. D and Karen, of course, are playing a game. And it looks like Mr. D has won the most recent round, which is a little bit unusual, given that we usually see Chiron winning at games. Yeah. Maybe he's, like, more of a summer guy, you know?
Or he could be off, given what we'll kind of learn that...
Very true.
About to learn that Annabeth is not
He, like, actually cares about all the kids who are gone, and Mr. D doesn't, so he's unaffected in his play. That's probably more accurate. But Chiron, I have to point out, is wearing a fuzzy sweater with a hoof print design on it. And A, adorable. B, I want one. C, whenever we do this subscription box or merch situation, that has to be a part of it, because that's so cute.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. It also, my brain was then going to, like, okay, for a centaur wearing, like, a sweater with hooves, is that, like, the equivalent of, like, a human wearing a sweater with, like, feet on it, you know? And, like, then what are all of the equivalent, like, being versions of the sweater, like, with their...
Yes.
With the cat's little paw prints, you know, just like...
I feel like you would more so think of saying that on, like, maybe a younger kid, like a onesie with footprint on it or something, not really like a grown person.
Just
with, like,
imagining an adult.
That is really funny. Oh, you're not wrong.
So I do kind of feel like we also have to make, like, that version.
A foot one.
Like the demigod version of Chiron's. Yeah.
It's just feet and toes. That is really funny. Okay, well, we have 2 sweaters to make, apparently. And then that, though, is the moment when Chiron realizes that Annabeth isn't with them. And that's a big moment. Chiron is clearly very affected by this. Mr. D is so bored about it. He could not be more bored about it. He's just like, not another one lost. Wah, wah.
Which is a huge hint and indicator of what has been happening in this period of time between the end of the Sea of Monsters and the beginning of this book. So And it's interesting to classify campers as lost. It has a different it has a different meaning than just saying, like, you know, recruited to
turned or something.
Chronos turned, you know. So it's implying, as we will learn later, that there are other campers who are just kind of mysteriously disappearing.
Yeah, which is huge. And we've had some hints about, like, what's happening to campers in previous chapters leading up to this, but yes, this is much more direct and very concerning. But yeah, Mr. D is not really caring that much at all about that.
No.
Not even a little bit. And before we can really learn about what he means by not another one lost, Grover comes in with a black eye and a slap mark on his face to announce that the hunters have moved in. And I'm just like, Grover, whatever you did, you crossed some boundaries, and I'm not here for it.
Yeah. This is, like, I think maybe Grover's one and biggest, like, hey, man,
Agreed.
What are you doing?
Agreed.
What? Huh?
Yeah, I mean, there is, I think, this sort of stereotype of satyrs, like, chasing nymphs around and things like that. So maybe we're leaning into that a little bit here, but I just, for a pretty much unproblematic character up till now, it's, like, pretty problematic what he's doing. We have, between him and Apollo, we've got some issues.
Yes, we do. We really do.
We have some issues. But Grover is very quickly shuttled away from that scene because, once again, he is the one who needs to distract Nico while the grown-ups are talking. For the second time.
He's just kind of on, like, babysitting duty.
He's absolutely just on babysitting duty.
Having, like, signed up for that, he's just getting told that that's his role.
You will now do this. Yeah. So he's supposed to show Nico the orientation film, and we have this interesting moment where we get to learn more about how, like, parentified Bianca has become, where Nico is wondering, like, what the rating of it is, and he's not allowed to, like, watch anything. Well, he says, is it G or PG, because Bianca's kind of strict, and you're just like, dang, like, she has really had to take on that role.
Quick thing, which, man, I realized that I forgot to look up, but I was curious when the, like, G, PG, and PG-13 ratings were introduced into movies, because I'm like, is this a little, like...
Is this a new thing or an old thing?
Yes.
Yeah, that's interesting. Are you looking it up?
I am. I'm looking it up while you continue.
Yeah. So Nico is excited because Grover tells him it's PG-13, and he's like, oh, that's amazing.
Okay, according to History.com, it was July 1st of 1984 that the Motion Picture Association of America introduced the new rating of PG-13. So unless the Lotus, because they, like, learned this at the Lotus Casino, which maybe they did...
Right.
It's a little... Is the word that's coming to mind is anachronistic, but that might be wrong. But a little, like...
Or it just... somehow they saw a lot of movies since they got out of the casino.
And learned what ratings were.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if I had to invent that story, it goes... I don't know what year we're in, but they went to see a movie, didn't realize it was R. Bianca... pulls Nico out of the movie mid-movie, realizing that it's not appropriate, finds out how they judge movies, and then from then on is very, very strict with Nico.
True. I could see that. I'm trying to see if I can tell really quickly when ratings were even introduced. Oh, it looks like it might have been 1968 that film ratings were even... So well into their time at the Lotus Casino.
Yeah.
Is when there was any sort of rating system for movies.
Yeah. Like, maybe they had movies at the casino and they figured it out, but I like to think that maybe they got out and the first movie they went to see was accidentally really violent or something, and then Bianca was like, we are being very strict moving forward now. Yeah. This is not happening again. You are 10.
I do think I feel like they had to have seen movies in the Lotus Casino, because if the last movie they saw was a World War II era movie, and then we're jumping to everything available in the early 2000s,
right?
The CGI, incredible, like, color film. You know, I feel like that would have been, they would have been so much more aware of we're missing time.
Sure.
You know? Like, I think they had to have had access within the Lotus Casino, because if, like,
but aren't they aware that they've missed time? I
don't think so.
Okay. I don't remember how that unfolds.
No, because Nico is just kind of like, oh, I don't remember last year, but, like, he's not like, right. Oh, we're, you know.
Right. I would just think even just the way people dress and the way cities are.
Yeah, wait, off. How? Now I'm like...
Like, it's a pretty different...
No, it is. Okay, now I'm confused. I'm not fully remembering.
I mean, we'll see. I don't remember exactly how it unfolds, so we'll see how it unfolds.
Yeah.
And then we can revisit our movie theory.
Yes. Also, another question is, this whole time, they don't have Italian accents, but having been born and raised for the first part of their lives in Italy... Yeah, you would think
they would have Italian accents, right? Well, maybe that could be explained by the Lotus Casino, maybe.
Yes, that
because
could
they've been
absolutely...
there quite a long time. And, but that is...
Like,
imagine reading
Nico
everything.
We'd be like, so cool, you're the center.
Oh my god. I wish it was that, actually.
It's just a tiny little Italian boy from 1940. I would love it if
when the next season of the show came out, Nico and Bianca had Italian accents.
Oh, please make them like Italian.
Please make them Italian.
Oh my god, that would be incredible.
Get some Italian actors.
Please.
Who speak English.
Yes.
That would be kind of amazing. You would think even just a word would slip through. Maybe it doesn't, I don't remember, but yeah, you would think so.
Okay, well, we should definitely track. The only hint we've got is Nico doesn't really remember this last year, but we should really track how, as the audience, we uncover that, and then how much there is awareness. I mean, okay, I guess maybe what would explain it is when Percy and Annabeth and Grover were in the Lotus Casino, they were starting to forget things.
They were.
It messes with their memory. So maybe that's why they were there for so long, decades and decades. So maybe they just don't really remember anything pre the Lotus Casino.
They just feel like vaguely disoriented and they don't know why. Like, that's very possible.
That would make a lot of sense as to why they're then not like, right, what's going on here?
Okay, so then
women can wear pants? What?
R-rated theory still stands, which I like.
Yes, it does. Yes.
That's a fun scene. Okay, so Nico is away with Grover, and Chiron wants to search for Annabeth immediately, and Talia and Percy both want to go immediately, obviously. Mr. D is just like, absolutely not. And Chiron and Talia, as they're trying to sort of like make themselves feel better at Mr. D's ruling of no one can go, basically are like, okay, well, Luke would want to keep her alive. Which Percy knows that there is at least one moment where Luke genuinely was planning to kill, like, all of them. So that's tricky. But, yeah, I think they're just trying to make themselves feel better, you know, by saying that Luke would want her alive.
No, I think so.
Because they have to kind of, like, make it make sense. But Percy is getting really, really frustrated at Mr. D. Because he's like, okay, well then Annabeth will just have to be smart enough to escape on her own and other such things. And so Percy kind of loses his mind over this and yells at Mr. D that he would be glad to lose another camper and he would be glad if they all disappeared. And he calls him a lazy jerk and says that he should try helping once in a while. And that is so intense given who we know Mr. D to be. But Percy just absolutely snaps. And he has had a really crazy last 12 hours, and Annabeth is missing, and, you know, but Percy oftentimes doesn't behave with gods in a way that is to his sort of best interest.
No.
And Mr. D, I think, is, like, legitimately about to incinerate Percy. Like, I think we've moved beyond Dolphin. I think he's just going to, like, cease to exist on this planet.
Yes.
When Nico comes back...
Italian accent and all.
I love the way you did it. And is just so psyched that Chiron's a centaur. And that Mr. D is the wine dude. He's just so psyched. Right. He's just glad to be here. He's just glad to be a part of things at this point. I wish we could keep innocent Nico.
I know.
Forever.
He's truly just happy to be nominated. Just
and he's just like, I have your figurine. And Mr. D is like, what are you talking about? Yeah. I guess that's cool. I don't know.
Okay, so this is not actually going to be the best parallel, but I don't know if you have seen, there was this like trend online where parents had started saying that like when their kids were in like intense, like little like toddlers and stuff, were like in intense tantrums that they just like couldn't calm them down from, they would just yell out a random name and be like, Jessica, where are you? Jessica. And it would make the toddler be like, what? Who's Jessica? We're looking for Jessica.
Whoa,
and, like,
no, I didn't
break them out of their tantrum.
Whoa.
And I feel like Nico, it was that moment of like yelling Jessica. And it was so disruptive and like almost like disorienting and like, wait, what's happening now? That it saved Percy's life.
100%. 100%.
And broke Mr. D's.
Interestingly, in this book, Nico saves Percy's life.
Yep.
Which I don't think I'd like fully processed until this reading of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's interesting.
Well, and then in book 5, he will be quite instrumental again. Yep.
So that's interesting. Given what he's about to ask Percy for.
Also, I was just realizing this isn't kind of a connection, but it was just processing for me that in the book where Annabeth she doesn't really spend a whole ton of time with Luke, but is like where Luke is, who's the like older guy who she looked up to, had this crush on, had to like really work through over the course of many years. That in this book, Nico is meeting Percy, who is
really
the older guy who he will like have this crush on for
like
a long time and have to work. There's an interesting parallel there to that. And
oh my God, would Percy never want to be compared to Luke like that though?
Never. But they both kind of, Luke and Percy both let Annabeth and Nico down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like they let down the younger people who
they do
idolize them and have crushes on them, and
they absolutely do.
Yeah.
Dang. And like don't reciprocate in that way.
Yep.
That is interesting. Yes, so Nico, having saved Percy's life without realizing it, is just jabbering on to Mr. D about mythomagic of all things. Mr. D is just like, what are you talking about? And Chiron quickly diverts attention by telling Percy and Talia to let everybody know they're going to play capture the flag with the hunters the next evening, because apparently that is tradition and we must do tradition.
But it's also him being like, run now, run, flee for your life before he remembers that he's mad at you.
Escape.
Yeah.
And then Talia's like, hey, so you already have Aries on your bad side.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, we don't add another god to that list. And also, like, as a demigod, life is unfair.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. And there's this moment that I think is just such beautiful imagery where she's there, like, dressed in black against the snow. And Percy feels like she looks like this huge raven who's kind of out of place in the white landscape. And it's, like, just kind of like a haunting, beautiful image. And, you know, we've gotten another... Before this, an example of her being like so still, she's like a tree. So it's just like, it's interesting the ways that Talia, she has such she cuts such an impressive sort of figure that I think that no matter how she's sort of standing or like what her stance is, it's always like really dramatic, it seems like.
Yes. Well, and I also think it's really interesting because I think it was in the last chapter where we were talking about like the description of her as like a wolf. Yes. And then this chapter getting the raven, and then it was this tree. Like, she also is very now tied to nature, which I think is so interesting because she'll join the hunters.
Yes,
you know, and so it feels like it's all, like, she has such a gravitas to her that I feel like the hunters all really have.
They do.
And then she keeps on being described in relation to nature and very wild things like a tree or a wolf or a raven, you know, that feel wild and untamed.
Like a house cat or something.
Right.
No, you're totally right. It feels a bit like foreshadowing. And I do think also it kind of makes sense for her to have this conflict with the hunters because a lot of the times, like, sort of like Talia and Percy. Like, when you're very similar to someone, like, it might be that you're going to be really good friends, but it might be that you're going to be really good enemies, too.
Yes, totally. Well, and also it makes me think of, I think we've talked about this in, like, previous episodes, how sometimes, like, what makes you the most angry in other people is actually what you are, like, most angry about within yourself, or, like, what you dislike 100%. Most about yourself. And so I also feel like there could maybe be a bit of a mirror for Talia that she doesn't love that she's having to look at when it comes to the hunters. And so is just being angry. Yeah.
Yes. So Talia is upset in this moment as she's looking like a raven. Because first she found out that Luke had been, corrupted. Now Annabeth is gone. And this has all happened within just like a few months of her coming back to this mortal plane from wherever she was before that we still don't understand. And that's really hard.
And she specifically says the wording of finding out that Luke is lost, which I just think is interesting because we had Mr. D saying, Annabeth is not the only one who's been lost. Sure. So, I don't know. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, we're definitely using that word in, like, multiple ways, I think, in this chapter. So Talia and Percy both reassure each other that they're going to find a way to get Annabeth. And they're kind of walking near where the hunters are shooting hoops and arguing with a guy from the Ares cabin. And Talia's going to go break that argument up. And Talia and Percy, very tentatively, agree to be co-captains for Capture the Flag, which, as you can tell from how hesitant they are, is gonna go really, really well.
Yes. Well, and I also think this speaks to a trait that they both kind of share in common, and like all of the children of the big three, especially like children of Zeus and Poseidon or their Roman variations, a la Jason, kind of share, which is that, like, Talia this is her first time at Camp Half-Blood. Yep. Percy has had 2 summers here, but 2 summers where he spent most of the time away. It's like, Charles Beckendorf is here and has been at camp a lot longer than Percy and Talia have. But the just instinctual, like, well, it must be one of us because we're a child of the big 3.
Absolutely.
And it's like, or it could be Beckendorf, or it could be the Stoll brothers, like, or it could be any of the other campers
and,
here.
Like, they're just, like, there without any other campers around them, talking to just each other. They just got there, and they're like, clearly it's one of us.
Right.
Which one of us? Oh, both of us? Okay, let's try that, even though it's a terrible idea.
Literally.
It's so wild. It's wild.
But it's kind of funny to me how, like, they just kind of inherit and accept that, like, mindset. Implicit. And even though Percy really, like, kind of rages against a lot of what the gods stands for and really challenges them, he has these moments where he is so completely in line with, like, how they operate. And it's just funny to me.
It is very interesting. I mean, Beckendorf has also been there, like, longer than either of them ever have been at camp.
Yes.
Like,
Same with the Stoll brothers. Like,
with the Stoll brothers.
I think everyone else presently at camp has been at camp longer than Percy and Talia even combined.
Yep. So. Absolutely. So that's, that happens. And then Percy does apologize for what happened at Westover, and Talia's feeling a lot more forgiving in this moment.
Forever holding the grudge. I'm like, Percy, you can apologize to Talia, but you can't apologize to Tyson? I haven't let it go from the Sea of Monsters. I haven't let it go.
Let it go.
I'm like, you know the words, I'm sorry. You said the words, I'm sorry. But anyways.
He follows it up, like, very quickly here, too. Like, we wait a whole book, and it never happens. And he's going to talk to Tyson in this chapter, and it's still not going to happen. It's never going to happen.
No. Anyway, just had to say.
That's fair.
Point that out.
Talia's feeling a little more forgiving, and she says that she would probably have done the same. Which is nice for her to say because it's possible. And then she apologizes for snapping about her mom. And we learned that when Talia got back, just to add to the pile of crap that she had to deal with when she got back, that she finds out that her mom died in Los Angeles in a drunk driving accident. And she also, in this moment, says that the best 2 years of her life were when she was on the run with Luke and Annabeth, which I think, like... Really sad, really hard, because it gives us insight into Talia, but it also is like the fact that she never really got to have a camp experience, because as much as Annabeth and Luke probably look at that time as also like a time of friendship and chosen family and camaraderie, I would guess that being at camp was really like their safe harbor, and Talia just like never got to experience that. And going back to the hunters, like I do think there's a way in which she, like, kind of being eternally hunting on the run, like moving through nature, kind of fits like what is her best experience up until this moment in a way.
Yeah, totally. And is, I think she does in her own way, not via the pressure of Artemis, find that the hunters can be that family that she lost. Absolutely. Because she vulnerably shares that she says her mom was a heavy drinker, so to me that implies that her mom was an alcoholic and dealt with that for like all of Talia's life. And so that is like would have been incredibly hard for Talia to deal with from such a young age. So she didn't have a mortal nuclear family, and then the people who she had the best memories with, Annabeth and Luke, like that has now splintered because Luke has, you know, gone over to the dark side, and she doesn't really then find herself at camp, obviously, because she's, you know, going to leave very quickly again. And so I do think she finds the similar kind of peace that Bianca was looking for, but instead of being like, it is a like relinquishment of responsibility in the sense of Talia being able to be like, I relinquished the responsibility of being a child of the big three, like this no longer has to like sit on my shoulders.
And the prophecy and
but I do also think it is about a sense of like family and community that she
for sure
really needs.
Well, and we're going to learn that, like, her mom was also, like, this actress and very, very, very self-involved. Like, not just an alcoholic, but very, very self-involved. Yeah. And that she loses Jason when she's young. And so, like, she's just had this experience of, like, lost family, either through them not being present or through them literally being taken away. And so for her, like, this first chosen family that she has with Annabeth and Luke is, like, everything. It's, like, her first family. And there's so much pain in that. So, yeah, I agree. I think for her, something like the Hunters probably fits that need better than the general Camp Athletic experience, which is of camaraderie and friendship, but perhaps not quite close-knit family, depending on where you are, especially given that she'd be at a cabin by herself.
And eating dinner by herself. And I also think, like, I was just thinking about how with camp there is this family, but the family is always in danger because you're demigods, whereas the Hunters do have this immortality. Obviously it doesn't prevent themselves from dying in battle, but there is still a more longer sense of security and stability that
which I think she'd like, given everything she experienced.
And like a central figure in Artemis who will never go away.
I think that's really important. It doesn't necessarily have to be a mom figure, but just like a woman who is there and present and competent, and like all those things would probably feel really, really good and reassuring to her. I think there's so much about the Hunters that's like a really good fit for Talia. Actually, but right now she still really doesn't like them, so they're gonna play capture the flag soon, and it's gonna go so good, just so good. But in this moment where Talia is being vulnerable and explaining about her mom, Percy does a thing he does sometimes.
He really does.
Which is in trying to understand someone. He like says a thing and gets it wrong and then kind of provokes a bad reaction.
Yes, he like oftentimes tries to take what someone is sharing with him, and instead of just taking it in and being like, oh wow, that's really hard, like, I hear that, he tries to like reflect back a larger like oh, now I understand something about you in relation to this other different thing. And it's like he kind of tries to like be a little bit of like a social worker and be like, I can, you know, I can extrapolate something else out, you know, from this. And it's like, well, maybe not.
Yeah. Maybe just some validation and empathy on its own would kind of like work here pretty well for you. But no.
Yeah.
So then Percy's like, oh, that must be why you had so much trouble driving the Sun Chariot, because your mom died in a drunk driving accident.
Right.
And Talia's like, what?
Yeah.
What? Like, not only are you extrapolating, like, my feelings without asking me, you're also wrong, and I really don't want to tell you in what way you're wrong, so now I'm mad again, and bye.
Yeah, because he's now, like, she was sharing something unrelated to all of that, and then he has, without knowing, brought up, like, one of her biggest, like, fears, and she has a lot of, like, insecurity and almost, like, shame around the fact that,
totally.
like, her fear of heights is so huge for her, and so, it immediately shuts off the vulnerability, and the wall
immediately
has gone up. Yes.
We're back. I mean, it would be like if Percy was afraid of the water, and he, like, didn't want to tell people. You know, like, it's kind of a big thing.
Yes, yeah.
So in that, just to close out that section, Talia is not happy with Percy and is going in that great state of emotional, you know, calm, to try to stop the Ares camper and the hunters from killing each other with a sword and a basketball.
Yes. And so then we get our little kind of reminder of what camp looks like, our description of the cabins, a reminder that they're in this U shape, and Zeus and Hera's are at the, like, front of each of the kind of gendered, like, sides. A mention again of that this U is all around the barbecue hearth, so I'm just like, hearth mentioned, its future importance. And so Percy's, like, making all of the rounds to the cabins, telling everyone about capture the flag, and when he gets to the Ares cabin, he also asks them, like, where is Clarice, like, what's going on? And I also noted that he specifically asked, like, if she's okay, which I think shows the, you know, the growth of from Sea of Monsters has not been lost. Yes. And we learn that she went on a quest for Chiron that's top secret, and she has not been heard from in a month. Her cabin mate says that she is missing in action. So it's very, like, it's this very quick interaction that we don't really return to at all in this chapter, but is very serious and is another indication of things that are happening.
All these, like, lost camper kind of people.
Yes. Yeah. And I think is our little nugget for Labyrinth and all of that, obviously, like, in the next book. But after making all the rounds, he returns to the Poseidon cabin. We get this reminder of it being this low gray building made from sea stone with shells and coral, fossils imprinted in the rock, and he's still got the Minotaur horn hung on the wall next to his pillow, and he takes Annabeth's baseball cap out of his bag and he adds it on his nightstand with this kind of promise that, like, he will find her, which is, it's like we get some kind of sad solemn, there's like a solemnity to this part of the chapter, I feel.
There is.
Because then he takes his wristwatch off and he tries to have it spiral open as best as it can, but we get a really good look at all of the damage that Dr. Thorne did. It creaks noisily as it tries to spiral out. It's dented in a dozen places, and it can't even open all the way up, so it kind of looks like a pizza with 2 slices missing from it. And Percy decides that he'll ask Beckendorf tomorrow to see if he can help fix it, because Beckendorf is the best at camp for doing that. And then this is when Percy notices there's a new addition to the cabin. There's this big basin of gray sea rock with a spout like the head of a fish carved into stone, and there's a stream of salt water coming out of the fish's mouth into this pool that's sending like a mist into the air, making it feel warm and summery and smelling.
I love that it's salt water.
Which I'd imagine I was thinking the cold of winter, because it feels kind of like a sauna. I'm sure it feels lovely. I couldn't help but wonder, like, in the summertime.
Yeah, will it will it cool off and be more like a pool or something?
Yes, or
that
like where
nice.
you can get like a cool ocean breeze in the summer, you know, like I feel like it'd be good if it could do that.
Hopefully it's weather. Yeah, changing.
Yeah. And there isn't a note attached to it, but Percy kind of knows that it is from Poseidon, and when he sees all the golden drachmas glittering at the bottom of the pool, he realizes that it's a reminder from Poseidon to stay in touch with his family, and he says a little thanks, Dad, to Poseidon, and then thinks about like who he should call with this pool. And he first thinks about calling his mom, and he's like, oh, it'd be a good son of me to do that. And then he says, but she wouldn't be worried about me yet. To which I say, no, Percy, she's always worried. She's your mom.
100%. 100%.
I do feel like this really is the book where Percy is really going, like we talked about before with the whole 8-hour drive thing, like Percy's really kind of going through that phase where he's not considering
developmentally appropriate.
Makes complete sense.
Shall we add? But
yes, absolutely.
Sally would like a phone call. I think that's pretty.
She would love a phone call to know that you have made it safely to camp.
Yep.
Yes. And then he thinks about calling Poseidon, which I think is really interesting. And then he even wonders, can one send an iris message to a god? And he's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. But he winds up deciding to call Tyson. And so we see Tyson in this like very dramatic image. He's surrounded in fire. He's bent over an anvil, hammering this red hot sword blade. So it's very
I feel like the music fierce. From Iron Man plays in the background. Yeah. You know, like it's a very different vibe.
Yes, it is. And the second Tyson like sees Percy, he goes to try to give him a hug, which I think is so sweet. Even though it's an iris message, he does get a little embarrassed at having tried to hug Percy, but I think it's incredibly sweet.
It's so sweet.
And then we get a lot of updates from Tyson about kind of the goings on in the mythological world. So the first big update is that Tyson tells Percy that Poseidon is worried about the war. And so we learn that the old sea spirits are making trouble. Oh, and I looked up how to pronounce this one, and now I've forgotten.
The, like, Aigaios or something?
Yeah, it's spelled Aigaos. Aigaios. Apologies, don't know how to pronounce that. And Oceanus. And they're the Titans who had ruled the oceans before the Olympians took over. And so, they're making a lot of trouble. Tyson says that they're arming mermaids, so mermaids are real.
Mermaids are real and armed.
Yes, and armed. They're making 1,000 swords, like, by tomorrow. Yeah. And then the next big thing that we learn is that these old spirits, these old titans, are protecting the Princess Andromeda, making it hard to find. Yes. And Tyson says otherwise Poseidon would attack it. But my question about that is...
It specifically says... protecting it from Daddy's storms. Otherwise, he would smash it.
Yes. He would smash it to smithereens. But my question is, would that not be direct interference on Poseidon's part? Like, I know there's not a formal quest in relation to the Princess Andromeda.
You know why I think no?
Why?
Kronos is on the boat.
Yeah. That's like the loophole.
It's a god attacking a titan.
Right.
And others happen to be on the boat.
Then it's fine. Kind of like how Artemis was hunting a monster already, happened upon Dr. Thorne. It was fine. We're discovering these loopholes.
Some loopholes. Yeah. About who attacks who.
And then Tyson asks about Annabeth, and Percy lies / conceals the truth. You know, he says that she's not here right now, which is not technically untrue, but it is a very large concealment of the reality of it's not that she's just like not in the cabin right now. And it's
like as much as Percy loves Tyson, I think we've settled into this relationship that's still him like being overly protective and not like taking Tyson as like a whole person Cyclops who can like handle things.
Yeah.
And like also, clearly, like look where he is. He can handle things.
I know. And also I'm like, maybe he could help. Like
exactly,
you
and be helpful.
Like you were just told Mr. D just said no to your plan, but Tyson's out of camp.
Exactly.
Like, maybe Tyson could do something.
Exactly.
So. And then the last big piece of information that we get from this conversation between Percy and Tyson is that Tyson tells Percy, he's like, oh, you don't have to worry about the bad boat. It's going far away. It's going to the Panama Canal.
Yeah.
So, and that leaves Percy being like, what on earth is the Princess Andromeda doing in the Panama Canal? Which, if you know boating routes, you'd know that it's just trying to get to the other side.
There's not really a way on a boat to get from the east coast of the U.S. to the west coast of the U.S. It's like sailing.
Right.
Only.
Yes.
In a cruise ship.
Yes. Yeah. But, you know, we don't have Annabeth around.
So how fun would that be if we just sort of like cut just like kind of a big like river across the center, you know?
Just so you kind of straight through.
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun.
But then Tyson is told that he needs to get back to work, and before Percy can like finish his sentence around what he wants Tyson to tell Dad, the Iris message has ended. And then we cut to dinner that night, and basically the summary of dinner is that everyone's having a bad time except for the Artemis table.
Yep.
Literally, like Percy's alone at the Poseidon table, Talia's alone at the Zeus table, like Nico's having to sit with the Stoll brothers at the Hermes table. Yeah. And they're trying to convince him to play poker rather than mythomagy.
Bad idea. For many reasons.
But yeah, basically the only people enjoying themselves at this dinner are the hunters. We kind of get this little description that Zoe's kind of serving as the matriarch now that like Artemis isn't around, and Bianca's having a great time. She's like arm wrestling. She's just like really enjoying herself.
This brings me back to like the thing that always gets me that's so interesting is how Camp at Half-Blood, we've talked about this before, is so relaxed compared to Camp Jupiter.
Yeah.
Except for dining. Like, for some reason, when we eat, we must be separate at our cabin tables. And then people are lonely if they're the only ones. And I imagine, like, during wintertime, that gets worse.
Right.
So, just like, why is this the only thing we're rigid about, though?
I know. It is a weird formality that camp is very, very bound to for a lot of these books.
It's just interesting.
Yeah. I think it does show that, like, one of the primary differences between the approach to the Greek and Roman camps is that the Greek camp is very, who are you the child of first and foremost, whereas the Romans is whose legion are you a part of?
Yeah, that's very true.
It's a different way of grouping people.
It is.
But yeah. And so they finish eating, and Chiron makes the toast and welcomes the hunters, and the clapping is half-hearted from the campers. He announces this quote-unquote goodwill capture the flag game. Got better reception, but then everyone just kind of trails back to their cabins for an early winter's lights out. And this is when Percy proceeds to have a whopper of a nightmare.
Yep.
So it begins with Annabeth on a dark hillside shrouded in fog, struggling up this hill with old broken Greek columns of black marble around her. It's very striking imagery for how like, foggy and shrouded in mystery all of this is. It's very visually striking to read through, I find. And she's like crying out for Dr. Thorne, asking where he is and why he brought her there. And then she sees Luke, and he's crumpled on the ground, trying to rise, and he calls for Annabeth's help. And so she runs to him, and there's this moment where she like almost reaches out to touch his face and then like second guesses herself.
Yeah.
And then just asks Luke what happened, and he says that they left him there, not saying who they is, and then says, "Please, it's killing me." And Percy can't tell what's wrong or like what's really happening here. Yeah. He says that Luke seems to be struggling against some invisible curse, as if the fog were squeezing him to death. And Annabeth asks Luke why she should trust him.
Good question.
It's a great question, and Luke's response is very interesting. He says that she shouldn't, that he's been terrible to her, but if she doesn't, he'll die. Which is like all he needs to tell
It's like
Annabeth.
So manipulative.
It's incredibly manipulative.
It's so bad.
And this is the moment where Percy in this nightmare like wants to scream, "Let him die!" But it's a nightmare and he can't. And then the darkness above Luke starts to crumble like a cavern roof in an earthquake, and these huge chunks of black rock begin falling, and Annabeth rushes in as like the whole ceiling drops, and she somehow holds it, keeping it from collapsing on her and Luke. She's holding it now completely on her own. And Luke rolls free and is like, "Hey, thanks." And Annabeth asks for his help with holding this up. And he just says that he knew he could count on her as he begins to walk away. Annabeth pleads for him to help her. And Luke tells her not to worry, that help is on the way, and that it's all part of the plan. And in the meantime, she should try not to die. And Percy's dream ends with the ceiling of darkness beginning to crumble again, pushing Annabeth to the ground. And then he wakes with a start clawing at his bed sheets, and he just can hear the salt water spraying. It's just after midnight, and he is only sure of two things. Annabeth is in terrible danger, and Luke is the one responsible. And that's where we end this chapter.
That is where we end this chapter. It's always hard when it's like the suspense is created out of like a situation Percy has no control over, that we don't know where it is.
Yeah, and that like Percy doesn't really understand like what he's seeing in his nightmare, which makes a lot of sense, you know, like it would not, like, it does not seem obvious to jump to, oh, Annabeth is holding the world, like holding up the sky separate from the world so that they do not touch. Like,
I feel like even though Percy's been sort of oriented to this world now, there's still going to be some myths that just feel like even in this book, it's like, wait, but do you actually carry the sun across the sky?
Right.
And this one's going to be like, how would one hold up the earth, though? Like,
is Atlas actually, like...
Yeah, like, how does he have to be positioned for that to be true, you know, in, like, actual space and time?
Right.
So, yeah, it's not something that is readily understandable. And it's not even that clear on... Yeah. Like, when I was making the graphics for this season, I was like, well, I could just make it a bunch of gray rocks at the top, but I think I'll just put the world because people will understand that better, you know? Because I think it's a really cool representation here, actually. I think it's very interesting in your mind. It's not as interesting, like, visually on a graphic. So, yes, of course, Percy doesn't really know what's happening. But either way, it is terrifying. And Annabeth is just... Like, if you don't leave this book thinking Annabeth is just the most tough, amazing, spectacular, incredible VIP demigod that has ever existed, then you're not paying attention.
Like, unbelievable what she does in this book. And, like... unreal. It really shows the amount of like strength and fortitude. She has incredible constitution. Like, and you know, we'll see that again when they go to Tartarus together. But I think this is our like really showing that like Annabeth can handle anything that is thrown at her.
Absolutely.
And she will survive it. Though I couldn't help but thinking that, like, I just felt so bad for her after she's, like, on death's door at the end of Sea of Monsters, and then just straight out the gate put, like, on death's door again.
Yep.
in this book, having to hold something that no human should be physically capable of holding.
This is probably Annabeth's worst book until The Lost Hero. Just because, like, from the beginning to the end of the book, this is her state of being.
Yeah.
And she doesn't actually know people are coming, and then if she thinks people are coming, she knows they're coming into a trap. And that, and meanwhile she's holding up the weight of the earth.
Yeah.
Like, this is, and Luke has betrayed her again. Like, it's just layers and layers of terrible. So I just,
it really is.
My heart goes out to Annabeth in this
I
book.
know. I do want to say, though, because I remember there's a previous chapter, a previous episode where we were kind of talking about what is the true plan in this book.
Yes.
And so this does confirm that they're, like, whatever their plan was, maybe pre-capturing Annabeth, they have created a very specific plan now that they have Annabeth. Yes. And so I don't know if it was maybe kind of like, if we get Annabeth, or if we get this, or if we get that, like different contingencies. But yes, there's a very clear, like, I think Luke was just placed there for Annabeth's arrival. Also because the fact that he's able to, like, he's shaky, but he's walking away, whereas, like, I mean, Annabeth could, like, barely move after that. Like,
absolutely. I don't think he's been there that long.
No. And also, I don't think, like, we don't get a description yet, but it's not like his hair has started to turn gray, or, you know, because Percy and Annabeth share that, like, little gray streak, and Percy didn't even hold it up for all that long. I kind of feel like Annabeth.
Someone was monitoring, maybe even Luke, Annabeth's progress, and, like, right at the moment, when she's about to, like, get up to that spot, he's like, okay, was slap in, you know, and Atlas like skedaddles.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, because I don't know how long Luke could hold that up for.
He certainly does not have the fortitude that Annabeth does.
No. I don't think that Luke could hold it for as long as Annabeth does.
I don't think he's lying here.
Yeah.
I think he would die.
Yes.
That doesn't make the manipulation okay, because he willingly takes it on so that Annabeth will get trapped, but, like, he might not be lying.
Yeah. No, I don't think that he is. I don't think at this point, and this is maybe a little bit more of a theory, but I wonder if, because he is so split internally between Camp and Kronos, it feels like because it feels like the ability to hold the weight, weight feels like it is not just a physical strength thing, it is an internal strength.
That's
from,
what
like,
I was going to say earlier. There's one more thing I was going to say about Talia and the Hunters, which is that the Hunters have this, like, really intense integrity, and I think Talia is really drawn to that. And I also think that's a bit of what you're talking about here, is, like, having integrity and that inner strength. Which I think Annabeth and Percy both have, and also, like, they try to get Annabeth to become a hunter. So I think that it's just like an interesting. There's integrity is like a really big theme, I think, actually, in this book, because also Percy's gonna tell Nico that he can do something that he actually can't do. And, like, so I do think that maybe I'm curious to, like, look out for integrity. And also, just as we're on this quest, I'm gonna be like, Annabeth is still holding up the earth, like, this whole time. So I just I want to, like, hold on to that, because that's really nuts.
I also think integrity is something that Talia and Jason as siblings share. Like, they, you know, they are in ways different, but I think that deep, like, integrity being, like, a core value, I think, is something that they both share.
Absolutely. But the other thought I had when you were talking about who, like, if Luke could hold it up, is, like, I feel like in Marvel, it's always, like, who could hold up, who could, like, pick up Mjolnir. And here it's, like, which character could hold up the weight of the world?
Yes.
That would be fun to make, like, a list or something.
Yeah, and in this instance, to be like, how long would they last? Kind of rank them from, like, Annabeth is our, like, you know, longest.
MVP,
Yeah, and then where they fall.
We'll have to make up some criteria. Like, I definitely think integrity is part of it, but also, like, I think we need to look more at Atlas's characteristics, too.
Yeah.
Because Atlas, other than being a Titan and inherently being stronger, like...
Right.
You know, he also has some interesting characteristics.
Yes. Yeah. He does. He does.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that chapter was sort of long and windy and contained so many different little like conversations and moments.
Yes. It contained multitudes.
It did.
This chapter did. Yes. Any final thoughts?
I think those were all my thoughts.
Yeah. I don't think I have any others as well. I think like I will be holding now permanently in my mind as we continue reading what Annabeth is enduring in the remainders of these like chapters between now and when we actually meet up with her.
Absolutely.
And yeah, I'm at the point where I'm starting to itch to like get into like, okay, what camp or
like let's go on the
let's get this one started.
we'll have a couple more things to do before then.
Yeah.
I guess I did have a last thought pop into my head real quick, which is that in the last book, Grover is missing in action in a deadly situation the whole book, and then now Annabeth is missing in action in a deadly situation for the whole book. So I also just want the team back together.
Yeah. And then unfortunately, that won't be in this series for the full similar length of time. Like Percy will then be missing in action from Annabeth and Grover. Like
it'll gotta take a turn.
It'll have his shorter period in Labyrinth next book where he's gone. But
everybody's got to take a turn to be MIA. Among the many that we're learning are MIA. Yes. We will keep kind of unraveling that mystery and getting closer and closer to our quest of the book as we dive into The Titan's Curse, Chapter 6. An old dead friend comes to visit. Bye.
Bye.